see.
Reflection from the hand.
But there are two things. One without which you cannot see my right hand. It is a common sense. Light is here, light is on the back, light is right side, left side, top, and the bottom. How to explain that this light is everywhere? So every master explains, no, you have to move the mind within. There is nothing within. There is a blood in the muscles. So they indicate, they point out that this light is everywhere. Now I remove the hand, light is not there. Light is still there. It is a common sense. You don't need an IQ. And that light is the real self. So simple. But because the mind keeps so much of doubt, mind, intellect has a wrong interpretation, false notion are created. You rightly said, ignorance is there. That is the. So I gave a metaphor, an example of the light. That consciousness is present everywhere. Didn't we understand that the basis of any name and the form is object? It is the word. Basis, cause of the name and the form is nothing but the consciousness. One of the 8 definitions of real self. It demands common sense. So if we follow the common sense, we recognize here is the ignorance, here is the forgetfulness. Now you see that I told you reflected. Yes, you are right. But behind that reflected, it is the reflected consciousness which recognizes the hand, but the reflection comes from the light. We forget the light. And that is ignorance. This is the beauty of learning from this text. What I need to do I need to practice? Then, we have a wrong interpretation how to move the mind within. What do you mean? But that moving the mind within means you go beyond the name and the form. When you go beyond the name and the form. Who is the name and the form here? What is the cause of that name and the form? Consciousness. Who is the this? Who is this? Yes. Reflected consciousness recognizes by dividing. Mind divides and perceives. Mind cannot recognize any object, any person, any situation, any event, any pain, any pleasure without dividing and perceiving. It divides. Today is a bad morning. Yesterday was a good morning. I have divided. There is no complication. There is no conflict. There is no duality. It is already here and now. It is here and now. Go a little deeper. Deeper in a sense, again, apply the common sense. You said that reflected consciousness and you see the right hand. The eyes can see the color and the form. So one instrument of knowledge, one type of knowledge. Now you see how we understand this, how we recognize and realize this this real self here and now. We need not to. So one type of knowledge is received by one type of instrument. My ears cannot see me. My ears cannot see you. So ears are meant for another type of knowledge, that is sound. Nose, another type of knowledge. Skin, totally different type of knowledge. We cannot say my ears can hear, can touch. No way. So one type of instrument, one type of knowledge. So when we are clear about it, then we want to know that if my eyes can only has one type of knowledge, can my eyes see the real self? No. Ears? No. Real self does not have the same properties as my ears have or eyes have. I can only get the knowledge of if the object has the more or less the same properties. There is a tremendous doubt that the mind poses. I want to see the real self in front of me, then I will believe you. Come on, you want to see the stars through your electron microscope. Not possible. Electron microscope is one type of instrument meant to see the cells. Throw it. Bring the telescope. Bring the telescope, my friend. Oh, so through the common sense, I am able to raise my awareness. Eyes, all the five senses are instrument of knowledge, very clear. They give one type of knowledge that is very clear. Now see the other point. Why the journey appears, why the journey is so long when it is common sense. So I'm answering that question. Answering that. What I said, thought process, broke, but now I return to that. So five sense organs, five types of instrument, five types of knowledge. Now tell me the question. All these instruments of knowledge are available to receive the knowledge. My eyes are open and I see you, I get the knowledge. What effort my eyes has to do to see you? How much effort is required for your ears to listen to me at this moment? You're walking in a street and too much of bad smell. When the instrument is available, the knowledge is also available, natural, effortless. What question comes to my mind? Which instrument of knowledge can help me realize the real self? See, simple. I'm taking you to a step by step approach. Which instrument? Eastern wisdom is an instrument of knowledge that finds the real self. That is why we are listening and learning. Oh, so my mind is not able to appreciate because of the impurities, because of the distraction, because of the ignorance that Eastern wisdom is nothing but another instrument of knowledge by which I can realize the real self. See that? It is here and now. And that's why I gave an example of the hand. So this is the process of contemplation and reflection. Recall, I say you are real self, pure consciousness. It is an indirect knowledge that you are receiving from a teacher in the text. So you have to make it a direct knowledge when you recognize and retain and realize that I am the real self. It is done. Why it is not happening? Why it is not happening? It is not happening because my mind is heavily conditioned. Even intellect knows, intellect has understood that sense organs are not the instrument of knowledge to know the real self, and still the mind goes there. That is what the distraction mindfulness, that is what the distraction is, that is the restfulness, that is where the problem. But why it comes? So we say it comes because of the impurity of the mind. What are the impurities of the mind? Likes and dislikes, natural, default. So when we have a likes and dislikes, we keep on thinking about likes and dislikes. That is known as an attachment, that is an emotional dependence. And if emotional dependence creates a desire, the way we create a desire to earn money, to have sex, to to drink coffee, to eat particular food. So the mind is living into that kind of a heavy conditioning with reference to the perception of the sense organs. And so there is a desire, but I don't get, I have a intense desire for the freedom. I have an intense desire to know the real self. So the mind keeps on running the way it is desiring and running after the objects of the world. What is that? That movement of the mind. That movement of the mind is ignorance. So we have not only the distractions, we have not only the restlessness of the mind, then impurity and ignorance. These are the three factors. Who you are. My mind, even intellect understands, still the mind moves with the name and the form and the profession and the wealth and relationship. So if the mind is the problem, that's why we say mano buddhir. That is why we say mano hi dividham proktam ashuddham cha ashuddham eva cha ashuddham kama sankalpam shuddham kama vikalpam. So now see that ultimately we have to go back to the mind and the intellect to understand. Even when we are fully aware, mind is a subtle instrument of knowledge, and that instrument of knowledge can receive the knowledge when the object is in front of it. Real self cannot be in front of it. So if the real self can be in front of the mind, it means then behind the mind there is another real self. So there are two eyes. So then the confusion will become deeper. Which one is the real I? The one I see in front or the one which is behind the mind? And there is an endless confusion. So this endless confusion, this endless confusion, this endless confusion clears that this ignorance is beginningless. There is no end to the ignorance, but when the knowledge comes, ignorance is gone. We can bring an end to that ignorance by knowledge. But it started with the beginningless, as if. Do you know when you will be born? Do you know that at the time of the birth you are male or female? Ignorance. Which one is true? When you came from the womb of the mother, that is your birthday, or the 9 months before you lived in the womb of the mother? Ignorance. Beginning. So if anything is present in the name and the form, there must be a cause. Nine months ago, before the birth, I was in the womb of the mother. There must be a cause. Yes, my parents have uh, the sex. But even what is the cause behind that? So ignorance is beginningless. Means what? We were born in ignorance. We need to remove this ignorance. How to remove that ignorance? We have to understand who am I? What is the world outside? You see that my parents cannot give birth to me because this body is dependent on the world, five elements. So I still live in ignorance. Got another girl this week, Lena, lives here. Came with her friend, and her friend was my student. She's adopted from Russia. I want to know who are my parents. I said, why? Why? I'm living with my adopted parents. I said, remove the adopted. You should know how to move into the world, in a situation, in relationship, that if you find the answer of this question, you will remove the word adopted or so called the real parents. There is no real parents. We still have a wrong notion. Real parents means a very vague information. Did I know that she is actually my mother or he is actually my father? They told me, so I agreed. I'm living with them, so they agreed. I agree with them. He started looking at me. I said, why you are confused? Why you want to know the answer of the wrong question? The wrong question will result into a wrong answer. You have found the wrong answer that your parents are in Russia. They were they entered into a very painful situation. So ultimately, they have offered for adoption. What exactly you will get? Then you will challenge your so called real parents. What is this I'm talking about? Impurities of the mind. We need not to work on this. The light of the consciousness is still present, so called behind you, inside you, behind me, inside me. That light of consciousness, take the same example. Light is everywhere, consciousness is everywhere. That is the real self. Without the presence of the real self, there is no reflected consciousness, that is the mind. And reflected consciousness cannot give the consciousness to the five sense organs. And I cannot talk and communicate without the presence of that light of consciousness, which is inside me in every cell of the body, which is outside me, which is on the right side, which is on the left side, which is on the top and the bottom, everywhere. That is what the awakening is. That is what the real self is. The moment the conflict comes, confusion comes, complication comes, mind, let me reset you. I will see it again. The way you have just reset your mind. Yes, you're right. Light is in front. Light is at the back of the right hand. Light is at the top. Light is at the bottom. Light is on the right side. Light is on the left side. Isn't it? Okay, now let me remove the right hand. Is the light not there? It is here and now. That is the real self. That is the consciousness. You cannot ignore light is not here. But the light makes its presence felt because of this object. Am I right? So light makes its presence felt by an object or a person that is you. It does not mean it was absent when you were not here. Few minutes before. It was still there. It was there, it is here, and now it will continue to be there. So that is, I compare the light with the light of consciousness. That consciousness is the light. Really. That is why we are embarking on a journey. Shankaracharya has written one verse to explain all the principles of the Eastern West in a dialogue form. A dialogue between a seeker and the master. What is that light by which you see the objects of the world? Master, it is sunlight in the day and the moonlight in the night. So he is a true seeker because he did not forget. His focus was not on the objects of the world. Are you getting it? Let me reproduce, recall, help you recall. Mind cannot know the real self directly. That is what I'm explaining now. It is here and now, my friend. So, what is the light? Okay. So, in those days, the seeker sat in the light. In the lamp, I can see the objects of the world in the night. What is that light by which you can see the sense organs? There is no sunlight, there is no lamp. So the mind is the light to see the sense organ. Reflected consciousness. Reflected. No, what is that light by which you see the mind? What do you mean by seeing the mind? I am upset. Mental phenomenon. Who knows it? Real self consciousness. Are you listening to me? Yes. So who recognizes that you are listening to me? Mind. But what is that light because of which the mind is listening? Are you getting it? Consciousness. I see the mouse through my eyes. So eyes are the knower. That is an instrument of knowledge. Who sees the eyes? The mind is the knower. Who sees the mind? The real self, pure consciousness is the knower. Done. But during this journey, all the three statements applies. Mind knows. Mind cannot know the real self directly. Oh, so it means mind can know the real self indirectly. Yes, indirect. Why it is indirect? Because a sense organ cannot see. Again, it's the same example. Oh, and qualified mind can find the real self. Qualified mind. We have already explained ignorance and impurities and restlessness. Qualified mind means the qualified seeker. Now the third, doubt goes away. What I used to say, the intellect or the mind illumines the real self. That mind is now totally calm. Mind says, now I have raised my hand. I cannot see the real self through the sense organ. I cannot see the real self through the inference. I cannot bring the real self in front of me. There is no chance because I am a creation. Real self is the creator. There is no possibility. Mind calms down. So we say that restfulness, empty mind reveals the real self. It is a wrong statement for a right reason. That is why it is taking a time. That is why it is taking it. So every master says that first I should accept and recognize and realize through analysis of the intellect that I started my life in ignorance and I'm still in ignorance. So the master says you should not, how you should start the journey of the self discovery in ignorance. So we have a Mangalachara. I should never forget. Forgetfulness is ignorance. You should never forget. What makes me never forget? We should answer. We are analyzing, examining together. That is the process of J. Krishnamurti. That is the process of U.G. Krishnamurti. What it means when I'm a highest level of a seeker, my analysis should follow the right track. Why? Ignorant mind cannot think. I am the pure consciousness. So there is a Mangalacharan. I am the real self of the nature of pure consciousness, which is all pervading, which is already here. I have shown you with the example of the right hand. I have shown you. But the ignorant mind will never remember. So Mangalacharan. Mangalacharan, we already know three types. Namaste Mangalacharan. I am you because I don't see you different from me because my mind and the sense organs always perceive that you are different from me. That is why Namaste. Or we do a Mangalacharan that dissolves the duality in a conflict. Second type of Mangalacharan. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Let everyone be happy. Why everyone should be happy? We are asking the mind why everyone should be happy. So the intellect answers because the happiness is our essential nature. It is all pervading. So there is an indirect way to the mind. Please, mind, listen to this. Have this knowledge. One is angry, seeking peace. One is doing a crime and he is totally unconscious. That is why he is committing a crime. But what is the result? Where he wants to go? Peace and happiness. What is the goal? Sometimes, the serial killers enjoy killing. We use the word enjoy killing. They are also searching peace. You see, serial killers. Why you are killing? I enjoy. I'm filled with the total satisfaction. But how many people you kill? As much as I can. Why? I'm seeking that happiness by killing. I'm seeking happiness by eating food. I'm seeking happiness by earning. I'm seeking happiness by pleasure. Can you say that they are also doing a prayer which is totally different from the prayer we are doing? They are also based on that. So now what happens now? Now what happens? Your impurity starts dissolving. When we are a seeker, we listen to it, we contemplate and reflect. My honey comes and he or she becomes agitated and angry. I live into that awareness. Oh, she or he is seeking happiness. Okay, let me listen and see what can I do. So what happens? The love inside expresses itself into the state of the calmness. So it means that real self is now expressing through the mind. The mind is not causing any blockage, and that reflected consciousness expresses in the form. Calm down, honey. We will sit down. Oh, you did the wrong. Oh, let me understand what wrong I did. If I did the wrong, I will set it right. What happened? My attitude, my behavior changes just by Mangalachara. That is the importance. Why Mangalachara? So when we further analyze, we see that this master says, I remember real self. Isn't it such a fair conclusion? If I see the God God definitely means is a conscious entity. There cannot be two consciousnesses because I consciously know the God and the God consciously knows me. So there are two consciousnesses. It cannot be, it is not possible. So that real self, that God, that supreme reality is me without name in the form. Light. Front, back, right, left, top, bottom, everywhere. Without that light of consciousness, I cannot recognize. Name in the form. Basis of the name in form is consciousness. So we have to keep on contemplating and reflecting. Basis, where is this light of consciousness? So on that journey, we get lot of challenges coming from our mind. The seeker asks the question of first define the real self. So we have already defined the real self in 8 different characteristics. In the third topic, we discussed that what are the benefits of defining the supreme self or the real self. Take any single example. I remember that consciousness is not a part, property, and product, neither of the thought or neither of anything. So that purified mind recognizes body is a part, property, and product of something. Mind is a part, product, and property of something. My perception, my eye sees you, that is also a part, product, and property of something. What I'm doing, I'm analyzing, examining, contemplating, reflecting. My intellect becomes subtle and subtler. That subtler intellect says goodbye to the impurities of mind. Now I live in a higher awareness. Did I explain to you? I think we went to that in the practice. When I said that be comfortable, the first you look at the physical level. Physical is perceived by the sense organ. Then I say move the mind within and experience sensation, comfort, and steadiness. So can the sense organ experience sensation, comfort, and steadiness? No, it is a subtler level. So when I say move the mind within, it means simply the rise in consciousness. My level of awareness is now subtle. I cannot see through my sense organs. Every master says that you cannot express it in terms of language, and still the language can help you to reach to that real self. So we have to keep in our mind all the time. Whatever I am expressing cannot help. And whatever is not expressed in the same thought, there lies the real self. What is this? What do you see? So I am not expressing. I don't explain to you. Now you are in full of light, in presence of a light. Tell me what is the object. I never said it, but it implies. It means that. I see that. I see that. That is how I recognize the right hand, but I forget what is present all the time. That forgetfulness is. That is why many people say it is a mystery, it is an occult science. Nothing. It is here now. So the master Master goes and asking that why you are rejecting the tradition, it is not appropriate. Now that seeker is the highest level of a seeker. He says that the tradition means the teacher gives the best knowledge which is possible to the best seeker, or it gives the highest knowledge that is available in the form of a language. So the master is answering, what are you doing? I still follow the tradition. So the seeker again objects, at least you should remember the Ishwar. We will talk in detail. It will come into our journey. What is our Ishwar? Satoguna and Tamoguna of the Maya or the Prakriti, plus the consciousness is the Ishwar. But as long as Sato and Tamoguna is there, it is still the product. Why shouldn't I remember the real self or the supreme consciousness directly? Now you are an individual and writing a book. At least an individual can write the book. Real self cannot write the book. A great objection. Mind stuck there. Mind creates the doubt. Come on, mind, you are writing in the light of that consciousness. Confusion is gone. I do not remain longer, I do not remain as an individual just by remembering. Look at the beauty of the Mangalacharya. No, you are a guru and a sannyasi. You say that I am a guru and sannyasi. I don't see that. I don't see that. I see that I am a real self. But why I see that? Because of ignorance. That's why we are together. That's why we are together. So the master ultimately concludes that is why you need to study my book. It has nothing to do with the ego, because he says that I have studied, which perhaps you cannot study, more than 600 books and reach to that state. So that brings, the topic 12 and 13 and 14 topic we covered last time, that Anubandha Chatushtaya, the four connections. So the moment you have a Mangala Charan, if your mind naturally moves to Anubandha Chatushtaya, the four connections, you are living in a higher level of awareness. That is why we have lot of conflict. And what is the conflict in the question? Who am I? Well, the mind says, with that body and the profession and the name and the label and the nationality, is I am. The intellect instantly recognizes that I am the real self. The duality must go there and then. If it is not going, I examine it again. I reflect on it again. You can pick up any definition. Consciousness cannot be a part product. It is all pervading. This body is here, it is not there, obviously. Oh, Anubandhacha. Subject matter is who am I? What is the word? Is the entire word appears true, but it is not true. Yes, it is constantly changing. There is nothing that my mind and the sense organ perceive is not changing. The one thing is very clear, whatever is changing is not real. But what is the basis of this changing world is the consciousness which is real. to realize self-realization, self-knowledge, nirvana, etc., etc. The word you use. To realize that we do the viveka of the three states: waking, dream, sleep. To see clearly that I is present in all the three states and independent of it and is all pervading. Then we do the viveka of the three bodies: physical, subtle, and the causal body. That is why we do the viveka of five panchakosha. That is why we do the viveka in a binary format: what I am and what I am not. So this mind and intellect drops and dissolves all the layers of the ignorance, and now this mind becomes a perfect instrument of the real self continuously from moment to moment. We live into that state of awakening. It is for the highest level of a seeker. We are higher level of a seeker. We have lot of conflict, confusion. The mind goes back because of the cultural, social conditioning. That is why we follow. So we are the higher level of a seeker. So when we are a lower level of a seeker and we do not understand, we have Hatha Yoga practices, Kundalini meditation. In Kundalini meditation, we see lot of vision, colors, upsurge of energy, sin and the virtues, good and the bad energy. Ultimately, this mind gets tired. He says that is okay, it comes down. No, during that process, we may get certain powers. That is pure, that is definite. But power contains in the mind. Real self is all powerful. So many people have certain intense desire that let me grab this power doing these practices. And there are few who get this. But ultimately they live their life with the frustration. What you have to do, wealth is the power. Your recognition is the power. Five sense organ has the power. What is happening? At least one day you might have experienced that I have earned $1 million. How good it is. You were full of pleasure and happiness. What happened the next day? So higher level of a seeker recognizes, realizes, no way, no way. This is what. So once we are clear the subject matter, being a qualified seeker, we are on the path, and the result is the end of suffering and awakening. So the master from the topic number 15 to 31, almost 16, 17 topics, he deals with sadhan chatushtaya, fourfold practices. So we revisit what are those impurities. It has a three factor: One is the impurity. Impurity begins with the likes and dislikes, and then there are six enemies of the mind. What are those six enemies? Desire for seeking happiness outside, first enemy. Second enemy is if the desire is not fulfilled, I get upset, agitated. So that is the agitation of the mind. Third is if I fulfill the desire, I want to repeat the same desire. So repeat desire is nothing but the greed. So I'm greedy about peace and happiness. No one is greedy about the wealth. That's a wrong perception. What is the end result of being greedy about wealth? Happiness. But we don't recognize that dollar note does not contain the property of happiness. Recognition. Last session, I volunteered a session because you guys are supporting me with the Ukrainian group. She said I was totally upset. I said, what happened? They are learning very basics that I have repeated many a times. She's a beautiful girl. Oh, girls are always beautiful, it's better to say. She said that I posted a picture on the Instagram and there were 100 dislikes and I got totally upset. I got disturbed sleep. I said, do you recognize that she disliked your picture? She did not dislike you. But my picture, I said, first be very clear. Did she dislike you? Did they dislike you or your picture? My picture. So you post another picture. And she understood it. She was very happy. So then I had I one session I volunteer, and the other session is also there on Monday. You might have seen the videos in the YouTube. So she joins both. So I asked her, so do I explain about what happened to you? No, 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 no. I have understood it. No need to explain. I got it. I'm happy now. You see the power, the Eastern wisdom is an instrument of knowledge that makes you happy instantly. You recognize it easily. That is the beauty of the journey. That the teacher spoke a particular phrase or a sentence and it awakens in you. Same thing. It awakens in you. Awakens. Mind knows indirectly. Directly means through the sense organ. But I would rather use the sentence mind knows indirectly, but real self knows the real self directly without any instrument. That is the message. So we have the topic 15 is about, I told you, general understanding of four connections and the fourfold practices. What is that? What is the goal? Goal is definitely the awakening and realization and end of suffering. So the malam, mal says the impurities in the mind. Anything that obstructs and prevents to witness the real self is impurity. But ultimately, those six enemies lives in the mind because of heavy conditioning from the society, culture, duality, and religion also. The first is the desire, I was telling, desire for seeking happiness, not fulfilled, agitation and stress, disturbed mind. Then, if it is fulfilled, so we have a repeat desire that results into greed. Now, all the three factors create a vicious circle. That vicious circle is known as the samsara. Buddha says samsara is suffering. Why samsara is suffering? My mind has created a self created world where I always seek peace and happiness because I find the peace and happiness in the self created world of posting on the Instagram, having lot of wealth, etc., etc. So that is the delusion. Now see, fourth one, that is the delusion. And it is very easy to understand. You are driving your car, you see, oh, what happened to this? Why the highway is running behind? Let me stop and see. The moment you stop, highway also stops running. You drive, again the highway is running behind you. So which appears to exist, but it does not. Same way with the mirage water. You approach near the mirage water, you see the water, 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 and you are approaching. There is nothing. You go too far, still it appears. Now, how to translate that into my daily life? I interact with the people, with the space, with the location, with an object every day in the world. They are very near to me means that when anything is very near to your eyes, you don't see. So the mind creates a sense of delusion. There is one thing more that is very important before we go. When we have a repeat pleasure, some people succeed in the material world means what? Bill Gates. Lot of money, lot of recognition, lot of money and recognition. So there comes the ego converts into a pride. Don't you see that I have earned so much of money? Do you think that I'm crazy? I don't understand. No, you understand how to earn money and get recognition. You do not understand who you are. That takes a long time to dissolve that pride. One is the delusion, definitely. Fourth factor. And the fifth factor, the pride. Because of all the four factors comes the pride. That pride do not allow the mind to go beyond the world because their breath, their life lives into the world of recognition. That is why many masters say the wealth can cause lot of harm. And that is why the master says the wealth, if you spare the wealth without any desire, first enemy is the desire. So I desire to seek happiness. That is why I am paying you. That is one attitude. Second attitude, that I am paying you because I realize I have lot of extra money. That fills your mind in kindness and compassion. That is what the meaning of the charity. I'm just summarizing all the smaller tips. Yes, I have paid you. Why don't you teach me? It is priceless. You did not pay me. The knowledge is worth it. So we have found an escape route. We have found an escape route. You did not change your attitude. You are still in pride. You are living in delusion. And the last one, that is one problem. Another problem comes because of all the five enemies. These five enemies go together in the same world outside. My neighbor has a bigger house, so I will have a bigger house. So I create a sense of jealousy. Where is the jealousy? Jealousy is preventing the mind. The jealousy forces your mind to live in the same world, which is false. As such, we are not talking of jealousy in the religious term. I compare. I compare with what and who compares? I compare my body with your body. That is the problem. I compare my wealth with your wealth. I compare my house with your. So, if your house is bigger, I have one kind of jealousy. If your house is smaller, I have another kind of jealousy. My pride goes up. You have a smaller house. You see, can I keep the mind free by understanding this so that we can continue the journey of remaining as a higher level of a seeker? So during the daily life, you are living in that state. You are living in qualified seeker means the higher seeker always lives into that state, takes the world lightly. That is the final answer to get rid of all the enemies. Take the world lightly. You are crazy. Thank you very much because I'm more crazy than you think. You cheated me. Okay, let us understand. If I cheated you, I will correct myself. Your mind goes back to yourself again and again. That is the best approach. That is the meaning that take the world lightly. The situation does not contain any stress. My mind is not made up of the stress. The guy with whom I got the stress also does not contain the stress. So, how these six enemies of the mind creates the challenges. So, what is going to happen? My attitude changes, my behavior changes, I become more calmer. I These tools becomes a shock absorber every day, every moment, every moment. Everything comes into that. We discussed about it. What we discussed, yes, where we discussed, something is coming up in the mind. I am supposed to do what is right and good. I should not do what I like to do. But why I like to do what I do? Because of these six enemies. So what happens? I do it so I accumulate lot of sins. What are those sins? Can I see them? No. So how to know that I have lot of sins? Every day I meet unfavorable condition. Do you still remember? That is why we are learning the highest. I meet unfavorable condition every day in my life, in every situation, in every event during the entire day. It does not allow me to sleep, relax, calm down. The next day is the same. Such a small and simple solution in the life. I started the journey with a common sense. It is all a common sense. We will meet again.